Welcome back to the complete 54 book Apocrypha. We are in Judith, reading chapters 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4. The sons of Israel that lived in Judea heard all that Holofernes, the chief captain of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, had done to the nations, and how he had plundered all their temples and destroyed them utterly. They were exceedingly afraid before him, and were troubled for Jerusalem and for the temple of the Lord their God, because they had newly come up from the captivity, and all the people of Judea were recently gathered together, and the vessels, the altar, and the house were sanctified after being profaned. And they sent into every coast of Samaria, to Conai, to Beth-horon, Belmaim, Jericho, Hobah, Isora, and to the valley of Salem. And they occupied beforehand all the tops of the high mountains, fortified the villages that were in them, stored supplies for the provision of war, for their fields were newly reaped. Jehoiakim, the chief priest, who was in those days in Jerusalem, wrote to those who lived in Bethulia and Beth-Metzthaim, which is opposite Esdraelon, toward the plain that is near to Dosaim, charging them to seize on the ascents of the hill country, because by them was entrance into Judea, and it was easy to stop them from approaching, since the approach was narrow, with space for 2 men at the most. And the sons of Israel did as Jehoiakim, the chief priest, had commanded them, as did the senate of all the people of Israel which lived at Jerusalem. And every man of Israel cried to God with great earnestness, and with great earnestness they humbled their souls. They, their wives, their children, their cattle, and every sojourner, hireling, and servant, bought with their money, put sackcloth on their loins. Every man and woman of Israel, and the little children, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem fell before the temple, and cast ashes on their heads, and spread out their sackcloth before the Lord. They put sackcloth around the altar. They cried to the God of Israel earnestly with one constant, that he would not give their children as prey, their wives as plunder, the cities of their inheritance to destruction, and the sanctuary to be profaned, and being made a reproach for the nations to rejoice it. The Lord heard their voice and looked at their affliction. The people continued fasting many days in all Judea and Jerusalem before the sanctuary of the Lord Almighty. And Jehoiakim, the chief priest, and all the priests that stood before the Lord, and those who ministered to the Lord, had their loins dressed in sackcloth, and offered the continual burnt offering, the vows, and the free gifts of the people. They had ashes on their hats. They cried to the Lord with all their power, that he would look on all the house of Israel for good. Chapter 5. Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, was told that the sons of Israel had prepared for war, had shut up the passages of the hill country, had fortified all the tops of the high hills, and had laid impediments in the plains. Then he was exceedingly angry, and he called all the princes of Moab, and the captains of Ammon, and all the governors of the seacoast, and he said to them, "Tell me now, you sons of Canaan, who are these people who dwell in the hill country? What are their cities that they inhabit? How large is their army? Where is their power and their strength? What king is set over them to be the leader of their army? Why have they turned their backs that they should not come and meet me? More than that they all dwell in the west." Then Achior, the leader of the children of Ammon, said to him, "Let my lord now hear a word from the mouth of your servant, and I will tell you the truth concerning these people who dwell in this hill country, near the place where you dwell. No lie will come out of the mouth of your servant. These people were descended from the Chaldeans. They sojourned before this in Mesopotamia because they did not want to follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of the Chaldeans. They departed from the way of their parents and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. Their parents cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and to go into the land of Canaan. They lived there and prospered with gold and silver and with exceedingly much cattle. Then they went down into Egypt, for a famine covered all the land of Canaan. They sojourned there until they had grown up. They became a great multitude there, so that one could not count the population of their nation. Then the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low, making them labor in brick, and made them slaves. They cried out to their God, and he struck all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. God dried up the Red Sea before them, and brought them into the way of Sinai, Kadesh, Barnea. And they cast out all that lived in the wilderness. They lived in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength everyone in Heshbon. Passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. They cast out before them the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, the Shechemite, and all the Girgashites, and they lived in the country many days. And while they did not sin before their God, they prospered, because God, who hates iniquity, was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many severe battles, and were led captive into a land that was not theirs. The temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their adversaries. And now they have returned to their God, and have come up from the dispersion where they were dispersed, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. And now, my Lord and Master, if there is any error in this people, and they sin against their God, we will conquer what this thing is which they stumble, and we will go up and overcome them. But if there is no lawlessness in their nation, my Lord, now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we will be a reproach before all the earth. It came to pass when Achior had finished speaking these words, all the people standing around the tent murmured. The great men of Holofernes and all that lived by the seaside and in Moab said that he should kill him. For they said, we will not be afraid of the sons of Israel, because, behold, they are a people that has no power nor might to make the battle strong. Therefore, now we will go up, and they will be prey to be devoured by all your army, Lord Holofernes. Chapter 6. And when the disturbance of the men that were around the council had ceased, Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, said to Achior and to all the children of Moab before the people of the foreigners, all who are you, Achior, and the hirelings of Ephraim, that you have prophesied among us as today, and have said that we should not make war with the race of Israel, because their God will defend them? And who is God but Nebuchadnezzar? He will send out his might and will destroy them from the face of the earth, and their God will not deliver them. But we, his servants, will strike them as one man. They will not sustain the might of our horses, for with them we will burn them. Their mountains will be drunken with their blood. Their plains will be filled with their dead bodies. Their footsteps will not stand before us, but they will surely perish, says King Nebuchadnezzar, Lord of all the earth. For he said, the words that I have spoken will not be in vain. But you, Achior, hireling of Ammon, who have spoken these words in the day of your iniquity, will see my face no longer from this day, until I am avenged of the race of those that came out of Egypt. And then the sword of my army and the multitude of those who serve me will pass through your sides, and you will fall among the slain when I return. Then my servants will bring you back into the hill country and will set you in one of the cities of the ascents. You will not perish until you are destroyed with them. And if you hope in your heart that they will not be taken, do not let your countenance fall. I have spoken it, and none of my words will fall to the ground. Then Holofernes commanded his servants who waited in the tent to take Achior and bring him back to Bethulia and deliver him into the hands of the sons of Israel. So his servants took him and brought him out of the camp into the plain, and they moved from the midst of the plain into the hill country and came to the springs that were under Bethulia. When the men of the city saw them on the top of the hill, they took up their weapons and went out of the city against them to the top of the hill. Every man that used a sling kept them from coming up and cast stones against them. They took cover under the hill, bound Achior, cast him down, left him at the foot of the hill, and went away to their Lord. But the sons of Israel descended from their city and came to him, untied him, led him away into Bethulia, and presented him to the rulers of their city, which were in those days Ozias, the son of Micah, of the tribe of Simeon, and Chabris, the son of Gothaniel, and Charmis, the son of Melchiel. Then they called together all the elders of the city, and all their young men ran together, and their women to the assembly. They set Achior in the midst of all the people. Then Ozias asked him what had happened. He answered and declared to them the words of the counsel of Holofernes, and all the words that he had spoken in the midst of the princes of the children of Asher, and all the great words that Holofernes had spoken against the house of Israel. Then the people fell down and worshipped God and cried, saying, O Lord God of heaven, behold their arrogance, and pity the low estate of our race. Look on the face of those who are sanctified to you this day. They comforted Achior and praised him exceedingly. Then Ozias took him out of the assembly into his house and made a feast for the elders. They called on the God of Israel for help all that night.